Welcome to Firebase Stories, everyone. Today I'm here with Daniel. Daniel is a software engineer at the Haus, and he's focusing on their mobile apps. Welcome to the show, Daniel.
Hi, Peter. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Yeah, good to have you on the show. So I understand that the Haus is in the business of building an app that makes it easier and more secure for people to buy real estate and property in Latin America. So maybe you can show us a little bit how the app looks like and how it works, and then we can talk about how you use Firebase.
Sure. At the Haus, we are focused on sell real estate. And it is pretty important for us to have a reliable app because the users are not buying something that is really cheap. Like when you buy a home, it's like one of the most hard decisions that you do in your life for most of the people. So it is pretty important. They can feel that the app is trusty, that we don't have bugs or the app doesn't close itself or it doesn't take too much time drawing things on the screen or loading the data. So this is the app, and when you log in, when you enter the app, you can see like multiple sections. One of those is this one, where you can search by yourself which real estates are in which places, and you can see like information about them and do some calculations to see if you can buy this one or not, or if you need to talk with a bank or something. And you can see multiple information about this one. And one part that is really important for the app is the recommendations. So we have multiple machine learning algorithms that create some recommendations for a user and also for a real estate. So right now we are seeing a real estate, and at the end of the detail, we show some properties that looks like the real estate that they are seeing right now. Also, they can keep track of which ones they have liked, and for example, they can create multiple lists, like my favorites, the used ones, or they like the beach, and then you favorite them, and then you can handle all of your favorite real estates. The idea is that they can use this tool to have the best experience buying a home. So one important part of this is that nobody buys a home the first day they started searching for a home. It's like really, really hard thing to happen. So the app remains on the user's phone for a long time, like 1 month to 6 months, or maybe a year or two. So we have some features that let them nurturing their buyer experience. So they can search real estates on the map and see all of their features, but they also can stay like just having the app and wait, and the app will go and will start to do some recommendations for them, also sending push recommendations and emails. But for example, here we have like a Netflix feed, so users can start just using the app and give some information to us, and based on this, our machine learning algorithms generates these feeds. So this is like a natural feed, and they can see a lot of real estates that are related to their searches. If they want to have some investments, or maybe they're buying a home for, I don't know, their mom or their family. So we have multiple options here. And with this, they don't have to do nothing. They just have to install the app, and they will start receiving push notifications and these recommendations and getting this feedback. Another important thing is that there is a lot of misconceptions about what do you need to buy a home. So having this on the phone is going to show the user, hey, you can buy this, or you can't buy these other ones.
Okay, yeah, sounds like it's a very complex application. So which Firebase products do you use?
We use multiple products. We are using Crashlytics, A/B tests, remote config, Google Analytics, the performance monitoring too, and app distribution. These are all the products that we use.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so maybe we can talk about performance monitoring first. So how do you use performance monitoring?
We use Firebase performance to monitor the app and see how it is behaving, because it's pretty important for us to have a reliable app, right? So we monitor how much time does it take to some endpoints to return the response, or if they are failing too much. And also we are checking how much time does it take a UI component to be drawn on the screen. So for example, right here, we have a trace that shows how much time does it take to draw this item on the screen, and which one is that item. We show it on every screen on the app. Is this one over here. So how much time does it take to render this one on the screen, right? This is pretty important because the Haus is a data-driven company, and how can you prioritize performance improvements over the app over another features that the product team may ask us to implement? So you need to measure, right? So we used Firebase performance to do that. And for example, right here, we have like some peaks that are taking too long to draw, and we stabilize them over here. So also it's really cool because you can see which version of the app broke something. So for example, over here, from here to here, it got like a pretty bad change for us in this case. So you can measure it and see how your app is behaving over time.
Let's take a look at the code. So I wonder how you implemented the custom tracing.
Got it. So this custom tracing, it's implemented with a pretty straightforward solution, I think. It's like we just have, on Flutter, you have everything must extend from the stateless widget or have a state, but let's talk about the stateless widget. And so we created this custom widget that just have this name, and also create a trace before the build runs and stop it. And what's the idea behind this is that every widget that we want to measure is going to implement this method over here, which is like the build, but it have another name so we can have it there. And then, for example, with this real estate item that extends this one, you just have to say like the name of this and implement the method that builds the widget in a measured way. And then we can have like all of these traces. And if you check, we have multiple widgets that have this. If we see like how many traces do we have? We have multiple widgets that we are checking if they take too long or not. And yeah, with that, we are able to measure how the UI is performing to the users. There is a dashboard at the top that you can have some top metrics and measure them over time, because you can have like 200 traces, and are you going to check it every day? It's like you can have some improvements over time on some ones. So we have like important ones here and have a fast look at how they are behaving for us.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So it sounds like you're a very data-driven company, which makes a lot of sense. So, and I think that leads us to the next product that you mentioned. So maybe let's talk about A/B testing and remote config, because that's literally there to help you make informed decisions about what your users like, and which kinds of configurations work best for them, and what changes that you make to the product actually result in better user engagement. So yeah, can you tell us a little bit about how you use A/B testing and remote config in the application?
This is a really important feature for us because our development pipeline is simple. So we want to be able to work on features fast, but sometimes we have pretty big features, so we have to like send small chunks of code fast to the code base without blocking like releases to production, right? We have some features that are in the middle of the development flow, and they are not completed. So we use remote config to enable and disable those features. For example, right here we have is log enabled variable, right? So the idea with this is that we can enable logs on production for our developers or someone we want to show. Because sometimes we have some production bugs that are pretty hard to reproduce on staging environments or local environments. And this had helped us to be able to check production without exposing security things on logs and just show them to our developers. So this is one part, and it is pretty cool because you can organize it. So we have like some A/B tests that we are running right now, and feature flags like I was telling at the beginning. So let's take a look at A/B testing. How do we use A/B testing? So as you can see, we have some drafts, like we want to test something, but the good thing about this is that it uses remote config to be able to change the behaviors. For example, we want to test over here if changing the words or the label on some screen will help the users to complete the flow or the funnel or not. And so we can create it pretty easy with Firebase A/B testing dashboard, and then just use it in the code. And it is pretty straightforward. I think that one thing that has helped us to do multiple experiments on the app is that it's easy to create them. You just click enable experiment and select what do you want to do. And then on the code, it's like some lines of code to check if the code should do one thing or another. It has helped us a lot to improve multiple parts of the experience that are pretty important for us and for the users. So we can recommend them.
Yeah, nice. So I wonder how this looks like in code. Like, is it easy for you to, go in and, implement a new experiment? Is it a lot of lines of code that you have to write?
No, it is pretty straightforward too. I will show it. At the end, the remote config thing is just having the instance of the remote config. We have like some abstractions to organize the thing, but at the end, the only thing that gets the value from the remote instance is one line. So you just have to call this get bool and the name of the variable you want to get. And if in the inside there is an A/B test running for that, it will get the version of that value that user must get to get one experience or the other. And then it is pretty straightforward. For example, let's check enable. We have some A/B tests running, for example, this one. So in the code, we check, it's enabled the feature or not. And if it is enabled, we return the thing or do one on another. Yeah, this is how we use it in the app. We have booleans, but we also have strings. So for example, we are using a string on the remote side to configure which numbers can a user use. So let's check those values. For example, for here, have like phones, and over here we can have some values. So you can have a string, right? So you are able to put a JSON there. So our team don't need to talk with maybe the backend team to have an endpoint to be able to get the information. And so this tool has helped us to move fast without having to wait or have some blockers from other teams. And also this had changed over time. So if this changes, you just have to come here and change this value and click publish, and it will be ready for our users.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I really love how you added those little extra bits and pieces to make it easier for use for you. So it sounds like Firebase has helped your development team a lot in terms of being more productive and more efficient. And I think you used the term faster time to market there a bit. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, that's true. Our team is happy with this solution, and also we are talking right now with PMs and people that are not developers, like software developers, and they can go here and check which values are there and things like that. So this works also for other kind of users and to help to communicate better what is happening on the app.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you give your PMs access to the Firebase console?
Yeah, we're talking with them because also we have the app distribution section, and we send beta builds internally to them and to us to check if the code that we are going to publish is working fine or not.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, great. Well, Daniel, thanks for taking the time to meet with us and showing us how the house works and how you use Firebase to make it more efficient, more stable, more reliable for the users, and more efficient for your development team and your product team.
Sure, Peter. Thanks to you for talking with the house and showing this to the world. I think that Firebase is a really great product, and it is also free, so everyone can test it and start using right away in their app.
And that was another episode of Firebase Stories, the show where we show you how developers like Daniel use Firebase to build better apps one step at a time. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you the next time.